All right, you're live, Mike.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talking Chickens number 42 with Don Karasek, ABA, APA judge, promoter of call ducks and Cornish Bantams, and has seminars on them once a year. They're well attended, and we're looking forward to Don. We've known Don for a long time. I know you get tired of hearing that because everybody that comes on here, we say we've known you for a long time because we're old and we've been doing this a long time. Uh, Today was we're recording this about 6:50, almost 7 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, December the 9th, and it's winter's here in northwestern Ohio, and certainly where down is in Wisconsin, uh, and it's only going to get more exciting the rest of this week and over this weekend. It looks downright brutal. So. Done a lot of breaking ice today, something I'm not a fan of, and all kinds of words come out of my mouth that I think I strung together even in new for those
I didn't have
28.
that here. I didn't have that here.
No,
I
of
don't
course
know.
not. No. Well, I had a heated coop, and now it's my wife's shop, but we don't want to talk about that right now because it's still a sore subject every year at this time.
And it's a G-rated
Uh,
program.
it is a G-rated program, which usually stands for no, that's J. Anyhow, uh, welcome everybody. Got a few things we can catch up before we introduce Don and get rolling here. Matt and I judged in the Dixie Classic this past weekend in Knoxville, Tennessee.
We didn't judge.
Uh,
We just
we
attended.
didn't judge. We attended. Yeah. God. Yeah,
Don't
it's
get
been a
don't
long
get
day.
us blamed for that.
No. Uh, yeah, they had a little over, I think, 2,000 birds, Matty. Was that right?
Yeah. I think 21
Yeah.
something.
21 something. Lots of ducks, lots of geese, quite a few large frogs, and quite a few bantams, as always, in that part of the country. Thanks to Cotton and Bones and Treadway and everybody that was there. I put that on. It's a very small group that does a good job. But we had a great time. We drove down in the Mafia bus. It used to be a church bus, but since Matt got rid of the white one, we now have a black one or a dark gray one. It's all the same. Dustin Drake was our chauffeur again. I'm getting kind of used to that shit, tell you the
Mhm.
truth. Kind of nice back there, just yelling at him all the time but both of us just closing our eyes and letting her go. So had a real good time there. Although personal recap for us, we did very well. Had champion Chanticleer on Little Man, the
Mhm.
one Matt tried to kill half a dozen times, and I wouldn't hear of it. Uh, so he was champion chant. We didn't go any farther there in the AOCCL class, but we did manage to get best of reserve white coach and Batum, best of reserve coach and Batum, and champion fellow legged. So we thank everybody for that. It was a cockerel and a pullet. Neither one had ever been shown before, so that was a good thing too. Uh, because of the weather things, I actually watched chickens at my house for the first time in I don't know 15 years. That
Probably, yeah.
wasn't such a good time for me, but my wife jumped in there and helped out, and that's never really happened before. So that was kind of interesting and pleasing.
It
She
was
was
great here. I only wished 4. I was done so fast I couldn't even.
yeah, it wasn't like that here. The weather sucked, and
4 only took 3. One I put in the water and all of her feathers fell out. And when she come up, she was naked, so she stayed home. But
yeah, so I had to blow them dry. We blew them dry, and I absolutely despise blowing chickens dry. But we got it done, and I didn't screw them up. So that was a good thing for a change. Uh, when we get done with this, I've got a little rant I'm going to go on. I hope I don't offend anybody, but if I do, well, tough shit. Uh, some things that we've been talking about for quite some time, and it just irks me. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. So, but with that, it's called a tease in the show business area. Yeah. Manny, what do you got to say? Anything?
Got one thing. We was talking about the Rozier sells the Tara spray we use for mites, and I got to talk to Mr. Jerry Little from Kentucky, and he has a friend that's a chemist, so he took the dosage that was in the old Frontline Martin's Flea, that percentage dosage of fibronel, and they converted it to the Tara. So I do have a new dosage for that, and I have told Caitlin. So what they come up with is 1 ounce to 31 ounces of water. So that makes a full quart. That will be effective. We've tried some of the other dosages we've put on here before, and it didn't seem like enough. If you want to make up a whole gallon, that's 4 ounces in a gallon. Another thing he said that the chemist told him, because of the way it's suspended with water, every time you use it, make sure you shake it because it will settle out in water. I think when it was the Frontline and Martin's, they had it in some kind of alcohol-based solution, and that didn't suspend out like this does. But if you like using the old, not Adams, I'm sorry, if you like using the old Frontline formula, because the good thing about it is you spray them for mites and you don't have to touch them for 2 or 3 months. It really knocks them in the rear end. So that's the update on the dosage. I think that was it. I think everything else, I had several people we talked to about the sheep drench, and I did find out from a friend in Alabama or a friend in Georgia that they're now making that sheep drench in an apple flavored. And I've got Caitlin working on seeing if she can find that, because I guess it's the fenbendazole is not very palatable to the chickens. Sometimes they'll drink it, sometimes they kind of shy away from it. So we're hoping maybe that apple flavored one will be a little more drinkable to them.
Yeah, which is strange for a bird that eats each other and will eat crap. They don't like the taste of
sometimes
so you figure that one out.
That's why I always, when I go to a show, one of the other tips, and Michael probably cussed me, but I always have 2 or 3 gallons of water the birds are used to drinking. I've seen them go into molt or just not drink because they're not used to whatever water they got there. So same thing with that. They get something different that they're not used to drinking, and they kind of shy away from it. So I think that's all I got. Great time at Knoxville. Had good time with talking with Dustin and loading up 1 million turkeys. We brought back 30 really nice bourbon red turkeys for the hatchery. Worked all day today on getting the hatchery's QuickBooks set up. So we put out the catalog, put out the price list, the phone numbers are up, and I took 3 calls today while I was working on that because they got my number off the Facebook page or something. But kicking everybody over to them. I think the first eggs are going in January, so that'll be mostly commercial birds, and then the exhibition birds as they start laying and we get the breeding pen set up and get fertility, they'll kick in then too. So I think that's it.
Yeah, the incubators and the hatchers go in this weekend.
They're coming this weekend.
They go in the following weekend. I'll be there all weekend, and Terry Britt will be there all weekend, and we'll put the exhibition pens together. The breeding pens are all set. Both barns are done. It's quite the operation. So Matt's got everything
once
going.
We get it all set up, we'll do some video over there of the breeding, because the breeding barn's like amazing. So it's in
I'll start them probably this coming week when I go. I'll get the incubators and what all that stuff looks like, and then we'll get the breeding pens and the breeding bars. The website is supposed to be up within the next week, hopefully. So that should be up and going, and everything's just on go. And I think when we release the water, the dam's going to break. So we'll see what happens here. But it looks real good from here on out. Okay, enough to do here. I'll rant later. That way, if you don't like it, you can just shut the damn thing off, I guess. Don, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time, my friend. How are you?
Well, great. Thank you for having me on here. I really appreciate it.
Glad to have you. A lot of information. We're trying to get as much out as we can for people, and you're kind of in the education business yourself with your seminars and everything. So why don't you start us off by kind of telling us back decades ago how this thing got started, how you got into it, and you showed with your brother for years, and and showed all kinds of things. So if you want to just kind of kick off there and take us on, and I will say that Don's son is a very good judge also. Uh, Good kid. I had him in the apprentice program, I think, one time. I think you did too, Matt.
Yep, I give him
Several
his
years
test.
ago.
I give
Yep.
him his test. We don't see him enough, though, do we, Don? He's too busy with his work. He can't get out quite like he'd want to.
No, he stays up with it though. He's really interested. It's really neat. It was a good article in the press here recently that we're one of the 2 father-son teams that are out there.
Yes.
So that's kind of unique. He kind of filled a void there when, like Mike mentioned, I lost my twin brother there 13 years ago here in March. And so he kind of stepped in there because he'd been traveling since he's been 1 year old to all the chicken shows. So he's had a good experience. The first show I ever took him to, he was just over a year old, and we put him in the building. I didn't see him for 8 hours. So that's pretty darn good for a kid that's about a year and a half old. So,
Yep,
Yeah.
no kidding.
but yeah, he's a great young man. We've got some great grandchildren. He's got a great wife. So like I say, there'll be time. Well, maybe he can get out there and do that. But with his job right now, it's really, really difficult for him. So, but
Yep.
going back to how it all started, I think I was fortunate enough to be born a twin a long time ago there. And we shared the common interest of the birds. And believe it or not, my folks didn't have birds. We ended up starting just by accident. We had a local fair, and we went and bought some laying hens. Took them to the fair and won champion pen of the show. And boy, fever started then. Boy, started right off. It's like, man, we've got this figured out, you know. Then all of a sudden we saw in the paper that there was really live shows, and they were actually still holding them in the crate. You didn't actually put them in a show coop. So we were way back then. So, and going back there, whatever, I guess it's been 55 years already since that's happened. So been at it a long time. And like Mike mentioned, we have had all different kinds of breeds trying to get experience here. So when I did my judging or whatever, I could do a good, honest job. And I flew and traveled all over the country and tried to clerk under the best judges like Ben Smith and all of those guys that so I could be a little bit better. And that was a really rewarding experience. So, but so my brother, he pretty much liked Wyandottes. Didn't hold that against him. He had to have a breed. But to say how we got started in the showbirds, he went to shows. We were chasing points early on. They're actually number 26 with Tracy Hill in the ABA point system. So did a lot of travel and won our first starred win with the New Hampshire Red Pullet that we raised ourselves. So pretty proud of that. But in his show travels, he was going to shows. He ended up running into Art Prawl at a show. Of course, Art was a legend in the Cornish industry, and he told Dan maybe we might like these Cornish, so he gave us a pair of whites. And when he brought them home or whatever, I was in love with them. I mean, I was rose comb at that time, but there was something about the uniqueness about the station, the style of the Cornish. It just, and for whatever reason, I love the white Cornish because I love the contrast of the white bird plus the red lobes and stuff. I know everybody migrates to the darks, but I've always been favoring the whites, it seems like. And I do like the colors because right now, presently, I have some really nice models, some good spangles, some good whites, trying to find some white lace reds. So if there's anybody out there that's got any good white lace reds, let me know. So they're hard to come by. Russell's kind of gotten out of the birds and kind of focused more on the dog business and stuff. So he hasn't had the birds that he had at one time. So that's how I kind of started in the Cornish. And another interesting story is how I started in the call ducks. I went to a local swap at Beaver Dam, and Graham Oakford was there. And everybody that knew Rose Coleman, he was a great painter, had a extra pastel male there or whatever. Nobody wanted it. And he says, I think you'll like these. And I said, yeah, I'll take him home. So that's where my story started there. He gave it to me, and we became really good friends. He lived pretty close up there. And so when he retired, we went up there to see what he had left. And he didn't have any birds, but he opened his door up in the shed or in his barn, and here was all his cages, all his pens. He said to us, he said, I'd really like to see you get him. He says, if you come back with a trailer, he said, I'll give them all to you for $100. So we, on the 4th of July, we figured the traffic would be less. We loaded up a truck, rented a trailer, and drove all the way up to Beaver Dam and loaded up all of the cages for the $100 and brought them back home. And I'm still using the brooder boxes today. I mean, so if you take a look at how they both started, it was people paying forward the hobby.
Yep.
I mean, they gave me birds, said maybe you might like them, and look what the difference it's made over all these years. I can't stress that enough. And I guess that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm so interested in the education part. I'm getting up there, like Mike said, we all are. And I want something written down, and I want to pass it on to the younger generation. And so everybody has their angles as far as what they want to do. Some was like you guys working as far as officers. Mine's in the education field. So I just enjoy it. And that's where it started, that with my brother, he loved the juniors. I was in the open, he was doing the juniors. And he just had a passion. He could never pass the test, but he still loved the juniors. And so what has happened is I've taken up that charge and gone to all the fairs and state fairs and stuff and started working with the juniors. Like my wife calls it, my happy place, because I feel that's as close as I'm ever going to get to him. And I feel he's up there watching me saying, you're doing what I wanted to do. So I'm carrying on the torch in that respect. So that's kind of where I started with both of the breeds. But have experience with all the other ones. So,
yep. Then how many years now, Don, has it been since you started the seminars? I know it's been a half a dozen maybe for call ducks.
Yeah, well, basically, when we take a look at it, it started all because of Russell Roy. He came to me at Columbus one year and he says, I got this idea. I said, oh no, Russell and his ideas. So he says, can you put together an education thing and we'll have it at my house? And I said, sure, I can do that. So I started the process. Of course, I have all the records and stuff from the Cornish Club because I've been secretary off and on for over 30 years. So I've got a lot of old type articles, new type articles. And I really wanted to preserve that information to carry it on forward. So I devised that. I said, I don't know. I don't think people are going to come, fly in, drive in, or wherever to Emmett City, Louisiana. I said, but let's give her a go. We put a price tag on it and said, threw it out there. I believe we had 15 people fly in, drive in the first year, all the way from Alabama, New Jersey, all over the country, New Mexico. And I was like, wow. And I figured it was a one-time thing for people to come, and the ones that came enjoyed it so much. The 3 times that I had it, they came all 3 times. And they drove like 18 hours one way just to get there. We had judges coming. We had Vic Sterneman come. We had Brian Knox come. Just had a tremendous time for 3 days looking at birds, talking Cornish. I have to thank my son, David. He put a PowerPoint presentation together. That was second to none. And we used that and went to a local restaurant and showed that. And then we made hard copies. So everybody that attended or whatever got the opportunity to take that information home. Because a lot of times when you have those seminars, you have so much information, you can't digest it all while you're there. And we wanted notes for them to have when they went home to refer back to, or references to ask questions later at that point. So that goes back probably about 6 years. And then, of course, Russell's we did that 3 years in a row. And then Russell said that he was going to get out of most of the birds. So then I moved over to the call duck saying, why don't I take that same concept and use it in the call ducks. So I reached out to Dennis Fuller in Independence, Iowa, and he says, yeah, let's give that a try. And boy, did that ever work. Call ducks people are a little more plentiful than the Cornish people. And so the first year we had it, they flew in from Florida, Philadelphia. They drove in from New Mexico. I had 75 people attend the call duck seminar the first year. And of course, I had about $1,000 worth of door prizes I gave away. They got booklets. We had a silent auction. Some of the birds brought $400 for a trio. It was amazing. And got a lot of birds spread around the country. So we decided we'd have that once a year in September. And so we did that for 3 years. And now I've turned that over to the call duck breeders, have the seminar. And so I came up with the idea to have a mini clinic at the shows. Everybody's at the show. What opportunity would it be to have them interested in it, to learn some more? Maybe give them a little advantage to beat the competition, per se, or whatever. Little did I ever believe that I would have the numbers that I had. I had 65 kids sign up. They got a regular agenda. They got a bibliography of everybody, so they kind of knew what our background was and that we weren't just blowing smoke at them, that we actually kind of knew what we were doing. So that was basically 65 kids and 20 adults. The room was full. Ken Miskman did an excellent job. We had 4 live ducks there. Did some surveys as far as how the ducks placed, and they were all over the board. So I think they got a real taste of how difficult it is to have consistency when it comes to judging, because everybody looks and sees them a little bit different.
Yep.
I was looking back at one of the earlier presentations, and Matt brought up something good, and I've been working on that. I've been working on a scorecard for Bantams and scorecard for call ducks. I just finished it up today. I'm going to get it to the printer. I'm going to kind of take that concept out there and talk to people about actually scoring their own birds out.
It really helps. I've done that
especially
myself.
when you go into the breeding pens. I mean,
Yep.
a terrific idea, because then you can say, well, here's my strength, where's my weakness, what am I going to put together, what am I going to go for this year?
Yep, and you got it documented. So, and then where I seen the big value in that is once I evaluated the youngsters out of my matings. Did I do good? Did I do better? You know, sometimes we just keep going and we don't stop and think about that, but it actually makes you think about what you're going to keep from what you produced. So I think that's the big value in that process.
Yes. Yep. And I wanted to go back and mention that a lot of people are starting to have confidence in what I'm doing, and I'm so pleased that Kuiper Cooping has gotten on board with me. Metzger Farms, which has the call ducks now available. One thing I would suggest when people are starting out, maybe, get a medium to fair call duck, get a chance to see if they like it, learn how to feed and take care of it, like my brother and I did. And then we stepped up after a year or two and went to some more better birds or whatever, because we felt we had a better handle on it. So that's my suggestion as far as some of the people starting out. And so Metzger's got some nice birds that will get you in good at the fairs, probably not as good in the open shows, but can get you on the right track. Kuiper Cooping, Dale did a great job or whatever and sold that business out to a super good gal who's jumped on board with me for the call duck seminar. Going to the Cornish seminar, just talked to Don Bischoff today, and he's got about 250 darks available and 75 whites that he's been running through Blue Hour Poultry there out of California. So if you look at the Facebook posting, some excellent birds there. Don does a terrific job. I went out there this spring to judge a show in Washington, stayed with him 3 days, and I tell you, I'll just treasure that forever because it was just a unique experience. Don's 85 years old and still spry and doing all that work and really doing a good job for the hobby there. So a good job there. by him, and I'm glad he's supporting. Kuiper's going to support me there. So yeah, I'm excited about where we're headed. I've contacted a couple shows here. I think I've got possibly 2 online for the call duck one and 1 online for the Cornish one if we get everything approved and stuff there. And more information of that will be coming out as I get everything finalized there. So
Great idea to do it actually at a show where you got everybody there anyways. That's a good fit, I think.
yeah, it's a good fit. And you know, when it's a neat hobby, and it's something that the parents and the kids do together. And
Well,
the parents,
the two biggest things we get requests for are call ducks and silkies. So we've had several call duck breeders on here, had April and Ken both, and now you, but they're hungry for that information. They're one of the 4th largest breed of Bantam, so they're very popular. There's a bunch of them out there. And with that comes a lot of other things. So I like that you're doing this to give them a little, what should I say, wariness before they buy, and your advice to go to Metzger's and maybe get some lesser expensive ducks, because I was at Columbus and I walked back through the sale barn and I just couldn't believe what people were asking for call ducks that in my mind were just call ducks. They weren't worth what they were selling them for in my mind. So be very careful and buyer beware, I guess, with some of these very popular breeds, because sometimes you can get taken advantage of. You want to research your breeder that you're buying from and make sure you're getting birds that will produce and are productive, I guess is my big point. And I'll get off my soapbox.
okay. All right. Well, if you take a look here, or whatever, this book, I don't know if you can see it very well. These are the books that I put out, and it's got all the information that I have at the seminar. It's got actually a colored PowerPoint in the back. Great reference material. It's something that all of these people could use or whatever. I've got it for the call duck as well as the Cornish. I only sell it for what it costs me to copy it, and that's about, and for the book, and it's only $25 for the book and in the shipping of it or whatever. But if you're looking for a reference, it's got everything. It's got an appendix in it. So it's got everything that you need to really take off and go and give you an advantage over maybe somebody that you're trying to beat or anything that ways or whatever. So that's always available. People can contact me there. And it's been well received. I go through about 10 to 15 of them at each of these clinics that I do after I get done with the seminar. So I just wanted to mention that that's available out there too for them. And I can definitely answer any questions anybody has if they want to contact me. I've got the Cornish Corner column that I'm writing now for the Poultry Press each month. It's gone over really super well. I'm pushing the ICBA there and just Cornish in general, giving the tips that I can and kind of just sharing my soapbox like you guys are saying.
Yeah, there you go. Sometimes
I needed a platform to vent off what I know. I want to get that out there as much as I can. People can use it if they want. If they don't want to use it, that's up to them. But I'll try to help them out as much as I can. So.
And that's good, because I think that was greatly lacking in the hobby for a long time. Other than the Poultry Press before the internet really kicked in, you didn't have many venues to share information. You kind of had a bunch of old books and old articles, and that was it. And people are real reluctant anymore to write something. I think that art has went by the wayside. So that was kind of the idea behind this, was to maybe get it documented in some of this newer media so people can see it in that format as opposed to the old writing article, get it in the yearbook or whatever. So that seems to have went by the wayside somewhat. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a great idea and a great thing. And I always say, we preach it. There's not any class harder to judge than call ducks. There's so many things that have to come together there. They have to be cooped right. I think it's one of the biggest things. And then you have to take your time when you're judging them. And I know we've seen over the years all different ways of doing it, but it's a very tough class to judge. We tell that to the apprentice judges, don't get all intimidated and upset with them. And I think I clerked for you when I was in the apprenticeship. We were at Connorsville and they were 3 rows high. And
yeah, I remember having.
Yeah, it was not the ideal situation for call ducks. You were tall enough you could see that top row. I had to get on a bucket.
I tell you what, it was early on for me, and I'll tell you that was the only show that it took my breath away. So I had to go walk outside for 5 minutes and walked around, got my composure back and said, I can do this.
Yes. Well, I think we had 40 old white drakes, and they all looked alike.
Yeah. Well, yeah, even when they
were on the top row.
Yeah, Bill Wolf had that all waterfowl show was another tough show that Lou Cunningham and I judged, and I tell you there's some awfully good birds there. But going back to your support and stuff here, what you're doing here is super great, and the ABA and Karen have been super good in helping me push this forward as far as helping me with booklets. At the last Call Duck Seminar Clinic, Lou Horton signed 15 booklets, personally signed them. I mean, it was just a great honor for me to have him do that and take the time. And all these kids I don't think they realize what kind of treasure they got when they've got the author that originally came up with this book. And here he is signing their book. It's the treasure and it was the first thing that went out of everything that I had for door prizes.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. But I wanted to thank the ABA and what you guys are doing for it. Appreciate the time here for me to be on here, and hopefully we can move this hobby forward and have information documented so that as the years go by that
I know it's working because I tell everybody I was at Columbus this year, and there was a time when I would get that exhibitors list, and I knew everybody on it. I think I knew maybe a third of the people on that list there. We've got new people everywhere we go walking up telling us they see this, and that's a great thing because I think the influx of new people is really good. I just want to make sure they get started right. We give them everything they want to get started and not get discouraged. Don't get discouraged if you have a bad experience. Lord knows all three of us have had enough of those over the years, but we're kind of hard-headed. We never quit. We just kept going, and it's a little easier these days to get information. So I guess, and we wanted you to get good information. Sometimes I won't call them out, but I will call them out. Backyard chickens used to be my nightmare because people would get on there and they'd ask a question and they'd get 5,000 opinions, and everybody's a vet, everybody's a geneticist, everybody's this or that. And we want to try to get the correct stuff out there if we can. And if we don't have it, we'll go get it. And that's why you're on here. That's why we have the supply people on here. That's why we have, we had Norma on here from the APA, Dustin from the hatchery. We try to get a different variety, and feel free to put in the comments if you want something, because we do read those when we can get to them. And I think that's it, Mike. I'll quit yakking.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
What I was going to say when you were talking about that, don't get discouraged. That's very good advice, Don, especially on something like call ducks, Metzgers, and Eagle Nest has a huge flock of call ducks that will do you. That's a breed where you could spend $10 and you could spend $1,000 a bird. And truthfully, sometimes it's according to who the breeder is, you might not get a hell of a lot of difference in bird. And that's a good way to really get someone that's very enthusiastic to just quit. But if you get some ducks, especially if you get ducklings, let's just take that since we're talking about Metzgers and Eagle Nests, and you raise those 20 ducklings or 50, whatever you can get. So you get to see them all the way from almost the start until you get them to where you could show them. And then you have to develop your eye, because you're not just getting this from somebody else. You are, but you've seen them their whole lifespan up to then. And you put them in. All right, so you don't win. But, maybe you're in a class and you get third young duck and fourth drake. Well, it's a chance for you to look. You've got a smaller amount of money in them. You have your time, but you've had a learning experience on the way. Now, when you go and you're looking for that next duck, you're going to go you just named the breeder, let's just say in whites, and you're going to go buy a really nice pair of whites. All right, I didn't say show winners, I said nice pair. And so when they tell you whatever it is, that's $200 a pair or whatever, you're not taken aback, because you know what, maybe not to the fine points, but you know what you're looking for. So you've got more confidence in yourself. And so you've already raised. So once you get them hatched out, then you can progress. And like you say, in a couple years, if you're going in your breeding program just and doing it, but you got enough time so you can go find that bird that will put you up with those people, whoever they are. And also you got to remember, like Matt said, like you're alluding to, call ducks are a very hard class to judge. It is hard to be consistent all the time in call ducks because their looks change within absolute seconds of after you've judged them, or before you judge them, or as you're judging them. That whatever's going around the call duck seems to affect the call duck, whether it's especially a young duck hasn't been cooped a lot. That beautiful baffle skull. Well, they get excited, they tighten that thing down. So it's tight, they're tight. And then you get an old hen or an old drake that's been shown 4 or 5 times. Well, sometimes it's like you could set a bomb off and they don't change. They know what's going on. So it's all a learning process, not just for you as the exhibitor, but for the duck and for the judge, because it's all according to when you hit that duck where it's standing. So that's very good advice. Is that
one of the things I want to back up on with Don is you have to get your husbandry part down first. So you can go by the best, and I've had waterfowl, God knows, and I've pulled my hair out. Mike's pulled out what little hair he's got out with waterfowl, every breed and variety. But if you don't have that system down to keep them fed well, keep them clean, keep them, in fresh water, be able to get fertility, you got to get that husbandry part down first. And I think your books will help them with that. And it's maybe better to get those less expensive ducks to see if you can work through that. Not everybody can do it. Oh God, I've seen people go spend a fortune on call ducks that were show winners, and after they had them for 2 months, you couldn't give them away. So you got to get that husbandry part down with those things. They're not easy to keep, and especially in our climates where you've got several weeks below zero, that's tough on those ducks. So you have to get that part down. And I think then if you can get the husbandry part down and how to keep them and how to raise them, then you can move on to the finer ones. I think Ken and April even said that. They started with just kind of, mud ducks in the puddle first, and then they kind of worked their way up, from there. And they were just bullheaded enough to tough it out all those years.
Sure. One thing I want to mention while you were talking about that is to make sure you have good facilities as far as secure for predators.
Yes.
You can spend all the money in the world, and you hear so many horror stories that they don't have a good situation to put them in. And like you said, 2 weeks or 2 months later, they're out of them because they didn't have that. And that's probably the number one thing that I stress right away is set up your position as far as your housing and stuff first.
Yep.
Then go to step B. So that's just want to kind of piggyback off of what you had said. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And the number one thing around here for getting them is mink, and you got to have some pretty tight cages to keep them out. So, I hear that horror story with kids getting birds and chickens, ducks, whatever. And, they have them in a poorly secured coop or where something can get to them. And that's probably is the number one tragedy of the hobby is that, because I hate to look at a kid and, they lost their newly acquired ducks or chickens because of a predator. So that's a great point.
Yeah. And predators do have a really good taste, because
yes,
you can throw a poor one in with a bunch of really good ones and he picks out the best one every time.
Yeah, they're better judges than we are, aren't they?
There you go.
I don't know where he's on the text. All right, Don, what do you think of the state of the hobby? So you're like us, you've been at it over 50 years, and when we started, it was kind of an old man's hobby, and they really didn't want us around. And I think it's did a 360 now. I think we're more encouraging the new people and young people and try to help them as much as we can, where I don't know that it was always that way.
No, I think that I took a look, years back, and from my age to my son's age, I thought there was a definite gap there. that was one of the reasons when I looked at it, I said, you know what? It's just not going to hang around there. They just lost interest. There was so much pressure when you're standing on the back of the aisle looking at them there, and nobody was sharing anything with anybody, you know. And when you talk Cornish, you're talking about a hard bird, a breed to breed. With Cornish, there's so many different styles and stations, and fertility ends up being an issue, so it gets people discouraged early on. So that's another good thing for another time, where artificial insemination and all those things go into maintaining the hobby, and where we're headed. So I think we've taken the approach now that we're going to try to change the bird just a little bit to make it reproductive, so that the younger people have a stronger interest in it and have the numbers to choose from to be competitive. So that's a slow thing that we've got to look at here in the future if we're going to maintain at least the Cornish. I mean, the quality that's out there now is, boy, there's some second to none. And it's been a long time. Some really good young breeders out there right now. So I think it's in good hands. It's just a matter of getting more people involved.
Getting the breadth of exhibitors interested. And like you say, it doesn't take very much to get discouraged. So, people, Cornish are like call ducks. If you start with stuff and then they're not very productive, it kind of gets them discouraged. So
yeah,
I do know that a lot of the breeders nowadays are a whole lot more beneficial in getting people started. So if somebody is attracted to Cornish, there's you. I mean, John Miles, there's several, Anthony Ashley. Those guys will all talk Cornish all day long if you let them.
Well, Brandon Taylor now and Will Bryles.
Tom Roebuck. Yep, Will Bryles. All those kids are. I had a Will kid because he went to college with my daughter. Daughter at about the same time, so I call him a kid. But now he's a grown man and he's doing really well with them and has a passion for it. Like we talked last week, these guys have a passion for their breed and they're going to get them to the top. So
you have to sometimes when you get discouraged and the weather's the way it is. And if you lose that passion, I said, you might as well hang her up because you're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we keep doing it, evidently.
Yeah. We don't know any better, or we really enjoy the challenge.
Too damn hard-headed and probably a little bit of all of that stuff, I suppose.
Yeah. So,
let's see. God, there was one other thing, and I got some distracted by something I needed handled there. So what's coming up? You got anything coming up for you here in the next few months? Or you just breeding right now?
Just breeding. I don't usually start till April. My facilities are set up that my incubator won't hold its temperature that well. So I kind of wait. And with Cornish, it seems like if you made them early in the year, they're bigger. They don't finish out as good. When you hatch them, probably April, May, June, they stay smaller even from the same matings. A lot of that's due to the fact that they use that food and stuff for energy and stuff versus putting on body size. So you'll tend to see, and if you watched years ago when the guys were showing Cornish in North Carolina, when they used to have 400 at the old shows, they wouldn't show them till after January. And there was a reason for that. That was because they hatched late, they stayed smaller, the birds were better, and they were in great shape at that time of year.
Well, actually, I think I've always noticed with Cornish that as the weather gets warmer, they get more fertile if you're natural mating. So I think that's part of it too. And it's not just them; it's a lot of game birds that the warmer the weather gets, the more fertile they are. So I think a lot of them are spending their winters just trying to stay warm no matter what,
I've preached that for lots of years here because I used to do it myself, and it bites me all the time. When you force them early, like December, January, that's not their natural mating time. So we're putting lights on them. We got heat on them. We're forcing those birds. And I think that does them harm, number one, because your breeding season won't be as long. And the last few years I've done what you just said. I kind of wait till maybe February, but usually it's April or May before I even put them together, because then they're laying good. I know I'm going to have good fertility. And then I'm not raising a whole pile of chicks through the winter, which is never fun anyway. So I think we try to force them into unnatural mating things. And I think that's some of that problem, like you said, with getting them out, early. They get bigger because they're eating more to try to stay warm.
Yep. And so,
Good deal. Well, listen, when you have more on the on your seminars that you're going to have at shows and stuff,
yeah.
don't be afraid to either come
Yeah,
back
send it.
on or send it to us, and we can promo it, or you can come back on. If we got another guest, you can come on for 10, 15, 20 minutes, tell them where you're going to be, what to expect,
Okay.
whatever. And so any time that you need to do that, Don, you're more than welcome to drop Matt or I or a note and jump on the next podcast, or if you got a whole podcast like this or whatever you want, just give us a holler, and anybody that's trying to get out there and give people information to make them stay in the hobby, and teach them more what the hobby's about, other than winning that blue ribbon or that rosette. It's the people, it's the camaraderie that we have. It's everything that goes with the hobby that makes this hobby what it is.
Yep, that's
So
why I always finish everything, Mike, and says I turn my passion into a purpose.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
like
that's a good way to be. So anything we can do, let us know, and you've got an open mic whenever you need to come on.
Well, I appreciate it very much for this time, and I treasure our friendship that we've had, and look forward to working with maybe you guys judging a show sometime here. So.
Yeah, we'll get to one. We keep saying we're cutting back, but Lord, I looked at next year. The bad thing is now we're planning out a couple years ahead, and this is one of those next.
Don, it's a lie. We're not cutting back. We just go till we can't go no more. Then we feel like shit for 2 weeks, and we just go for another 6 weeks in a row. So it's just the way it is.
Next October, we have an insane schedule through the whole month. We're on both sides of the country and many places in the middle. So I told him, I said, what are we thinking?
Okay.
We're not.
Well, if you hear of anybody that's looking for a judge to fill in or whatever, I'm certainly, I'm semi-retired, so I am available sometimes to spot hit, or if the show gets an extra number on them or whatever, or
we do get in that situation every once in a while.
I'm hoping that I can take this seminar out on the road, and actually the shows will say, I want to bring you on board and do this seminar for us, for the both of them, rather than just judging.
Exactly.
And so that's what my long range goal is, and hoping that going through this way and people being aware of it, that they may take advantage of that, because I think it's a great opportunity. I know the ABA and APA are always looking for ways to help their membership out. This is certainly one of those ways that I think that helps put them the clubs in the forefront, and being aggressive as far as helping their membership. So
exactly.
I agree.
All right, Mikey, you gonna do your little rant?
Yep. So here's a little rant I got for you. So everybody loves Facebook. Lord knows we like Facebook. We started this on Facebook. I looked back the other day, and I've been a member of Facebook since 2008. And a lot of really good things come out of Facebook. A lot of really bad things can come out of Facebook. The same as all social media. And I'm not saying that this is a problem, but I can see a problem coming. So you're at a one-day show. This is altogether different between a one-day show and a two-day show. So you're a one-day show and you're excited. You've won. You've got champion. You name it. Rose comb, clean legged. Let's take. You've got champion Bantam duck. They just got done judging. It's probably noon, maybe 10, and you've got champion Bantam duck. So you post. Very happy, proud. Thanks to everybody. Champion Bantam duck that you named the show. You show the duck. Okay, I can accept that. On a two-day show, you do the exact same thing. Folks, we haven't even picked champions yet. We have not got to the point of a champion row, and you've got 4 or 5 of the class champions that will be on champion row already posted to Facebook. Not all judges get on Facebook. A lot of judges I know, it would make no damn difference if you wrote your name on the card that was your bird on champion row. But the optics, they don't look good. They don't look good for the judge. They don't look good for the exhibitor, and they don't look good for the show. Wait. When the champions are on champion row and they're judging, go ahead and post your post on Facebook that you had champion whatever. Then you can update it that you went on to champion large fowl or champion bantam or champion whatever the hell you have. Okay? But I think the optics of that, are very bad. Because whether you mean to or not,
we had those comments over the weekend.
Yeah, and we heard some of those comments from the last show, and I don't like those. There's no way to defend it or not to defend it, or to say, just what it is. It still doesn't look good. Like I said, I'm not throwing water on anybody, and I'm not throwing water on the judges that are judging. They are still judging. Most of the people I know, it wouldn't make any damn difference. Like I said, hey, you judge other classes, you judge cattle or horses or pigs or whatever, or rabbits. The person that owns the damn thing is standing right in front of you. All right, nothing's ever said. But for some reason in this hobby, we act like there's a lot of money in this hobby. There's none, except for what we put in. There's no money. You could sell a bird, I get $200 a bird. Well, that ain't shit in real money. So what difference does it make? You'll blow more than that if you take your wife and another couple out for dinner. I mean, you got to keep it in perspective. But what I am saying is the optics of that is not good. It's not good for the hobby. It's not good for you. You won, and what's the first thing somebody that's pissy is going to say? You know why he won? You know why she won? They knew it was their bird. They posted on Facebook. They posted on Facebook.
Oh yeah, you got that one tied up.
Yeah, I did. Probably not. That probably isn't the reason. 99 times out of 100, but it does not look good.
Yeah, just don't.
That's
look
my.
good.
No,
There's
so
one other. I'll
rant.
tag on. I'll tag on to your rant. So worse than that, even the one-day show. Okay, but I have seen a few over the years that actually post the damn birds before the show ever happens. Like I'm going to a show and then here's 30 pictures of everything they're taking. That's a big no-no in my mind as well. That's not looking good. You're trying to influence somebody before it ever even happens. Even if you're not, it don't look good. So don't do it is my suggestion. Take all doubt away from that.
And I'm not talking about the pictures of, here's everything wrapped up in a towel. We're getting them ready. Next stop, whatever. That's fine, because if any you can't. Okay, so what? That one. Let's take in our case, white coaching. Well, that one male bird, there might be 30 of them there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, you find that one. If you're that good of a damn detective, you're working at the wrong job. But what I'm saying is look here, and you get this slow pan of 6 pullets, 6 cockroaches, 6. Nah. Just use a little common sense. Use a little discretion. You can promote all the hell you want. Us three have known some of the greatest promoters in the poultry business that ever walked the face of the earth. When first place cockerel is world champion cockerel, okay, whatever. That means it's first place cockerel in your breed, all right? But I don't mind. I love the promotion. I like all that stuff. I just wish you would not open the door. And it's usually somebody that's pissy and petty that starts that crap. But in this day and age, one tweet, one comment, and people take it as the gospel. I don't know why. I don't take anything I read as the gospel. I don't know. It's just all shit to me. I get a kick out of it. I laugh at it and I move along. But people can't help from comment, and people can't help to start picking. If they find a wound, they're like a bunch of chickens, Don. You pull a feather, there's a little blood. The son of a bitches will keep eating until the thing's dead.
That's sure.
People a lot the same way, figuratively. Of course, well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know everybody's kinks. But anyhow, that's just my rant. Yeah, oh, exactly. God, I'm warped enough without all that in my shitting head. So just use their discretion. Let's don't give them something to talk about until you've actually the show's over. You've kicked their ass, and then give them a lot to talk about. But the ends does not justify the means. There, okay. Like I said, there is no real money. We could go to dinner with people, friends of ours. Don, you know, shit. 90% of the people that you actually do see and know, you've seen and known them. You don't need to exhibitors list. You don't need nothing. Our job is to pick the best bird at that moment in that class at that show.
Yep.
It doesn't make any difference whose it is. So I'm just saying, a lot of times, just you got to step back and say, you know why you lost? You got your ass beat. That's why you lost today. It didn't show. She didn't show. Strange this, strange that. This happened, that happened. 99 out of 100 times, there is nothing nefarious going on. So don't add the fuel to the fire. Just let it go, because next week you can go somewhere else. If you don't like the judges, don't go there. Go somewhere else. How hard is that? You don't like a restaurant, quit bitching about it. Don't go there to eat. Go somewhere else. You don't like a Ford, buy a Chevy. I mean, life's not as damn complicated as we make it, folks. Okay, I'm done.
Oh, you're done?
I feel better.
Yeah, I hope you do. I know I listened to it all the way home. Don't forget, there's your poultry supply. You need anything, get with Caitlin, Tim, and Kim. They'll take care of you. And then Eagle's Nest Hatchery, the catalog's up, price or order sheets up, website's coming in the next week or so. And I know eggs are going in for some commercial birds the first part of January. That'll be a kind of our test run. And then the show birds and the rest of it will kick in. And I'm sure Dustin will update the Facebook page and the website as those are available too. So lots of good stuff there. I think I put in 161 SKUs. So lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff, man. And hatching time, it's coming that time of year, folks. Yes. If you need an incubator, you need a hatcher, you need a brooder, you need any of that big equipment, and you want to go check out Hatching Time, use our link. They're everywhere on our pages. They're embedded in this YouTube. They're on our page. Click if you want to support our channel. That's great. It really helps us a lot. And those that have done that, thank you.
We sold a ton of those mini incubators, so yes. I'm waiting on some of these people once they get them, get a few batches out of them to give us a review, because that's one that
absolutely.
I think for the price, I don't know that you can get a better incubator. I think it was like $179, and I know Stephanie said that they had pre-sold a ton of them, and then they finally got them in, and they were shipping out those. So, yeah, great thing with the Hatching Time. I know I bought some of their little quart automatic water things and got those in. And what I love about them, you order them on Monday, it's sitting in the driveway on Wednesday. They use FedEx and they don't mess around. They get that stuff out. So
no, and the people that I've seen the comments that say they can never get anybody on the phone there and can't get customer service, that's never happened. To us, if it ever has happened, I'm sure that it was a one-off, because you can usually get an answer, and you can get, if they got the parts, brother, you're going to get the damn parts really, really quick, as humanly possible. So I don't see that. I don't see it as an issue. Like, subscribe, and share. Share it all, man. That's what it's about. Again, Don, thank you for being here. Appreciate you coming on.
I will mention that if anybody's looking for a Christmas gift for that hard to get person or whatever, whether it's call ducks or Cornish, these would be available. Like I said,
There you
25
go.
plus the shipping. So
I'll put
There you go.
I'll put Dan's email address in the comments below. So, or Don, excuse me, Don's email address in the comments below. So, yeah, I did it.
I know.
That way, if you need that Cornish or call duck seminar booklet, you can email him and make arrangements to get it.
okay.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you for having me on. Have a great holiday.
No problem. You too.